The Moretti mansion was the kind of place that whispered power, marble floors, gold chandeliers, and silence thick enough to crush anyone who didn't belong. Elena Rossi never belonged. She moved like a shadow, scrubbing floors and polishing glasses that cost more than her month's rent. No one saw her, not the guards, not the maids, and certainly not him. Dante Moretti. The man people called the Phantom Don. He ruled Milan's underworld with ice in his veins and blood on his hands. Elena only ever saw him from afar. The sharp suits, the cold stare, the presence that silenced rooms. To him she was invisible. Just another face blending into the background. But she noticed everything. The scar on his jaw, the way his eyes darkened when someone spoke out of turn, and how no one dared breathe when he entered a room. Until that night. A storm had rolled in, thunder shaking the mansion as Dante held a secret meeting with his lieutenants. Elena had been told to stay out of the East Wing, the rule she never broke. But when she heard glass shatter from inside, her instincts betrayed her. She rushed in, forgetting who the room belonged to, and froze. 6 men turned toward her. Dante's gaze landed on her like a blade. The air crackled. His voice was low, dangerous. "Who told you to walk in here?" Elena's breath caught. I heard, something broke." He stepped closer, every inch of him controlled rage. "You don't hear in my house. You obey." Her heart pounded, but she didn't lower her eyes. For the first time she met the devil's stare and didn't flinch. And something shifted. A flicker of curiosity. Annoyance. Something darker. When she was finally dismissed, Dante watched her go, his mind uncharacteristically distracted. He didn't know her name. Didn't care. But for the first time the ghost in his mansion had made him feel something. And Dante Moretti hated losing control. 3 days. That's how long Elena tried to pretend nothing had happened. She worked quietly, avoiding the East Wing like it carried the plague. But whispers spread fast in the Moretti mansion. Whispers that the Don's eyes had followed a maid out of a meeting. It was ridiculous. Impossible. Dangerous. Still, every time Elena passed a reflective surface, she caught herself staring, wondering what he'd seen in her face that night. Fear? Defiance? Or something else entirely? That evening, she was cleaning the grand hall when his voice broke the silence. "You." Her entire body froze. Dante Moretti stood at the foot of the staircase, his suit dark as sin, his expression unreadable. "Come here." Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she obeyed. The closer she got, the heavier the air became. "What's your name?" he asked finally. "Elena." Her voice was barely a whisper. He studied her, eyes sharp, assessing. "You've been working here for how long?" 6 months, sir. And yet I never noticed you." There was no reason for him to notice her. But the way he said it, like a confession, like an accusation, made her pulse race. "I didn't mean to interrupt that night," she said softly. "I just thought someone was hurt." For the first time his expression faltered. She saw it, a flash of something human behind the ice. "Next time you think," he murmured, stepping closer, "remember where you are. My world doesn't forgive mistakes." Her chin lifted, almost against her will. "Then maybe your world needs forgiveness." The room fell into stunned silence. No one ever spoke to him that way. A slow, dangerous smile curved his lips. "You have a brave tongue, Elena." Then just as suddenly he turned away. "Go back to work." She walked off, heart hammering, feeling his gaze burn between her shoulder blades. And somewhere deep inside him, a man who prided himself on control, Dante Moretti realized one terrifying truth. He was thinking about her again. The Moretti mansion buzzed with rare energy that night. A gala, expensive suits, diamond necklaces, and guests who smiled like angels but smelled of sin. Elena wasn't supposed to be there. At least not like this. A last-minute wardrobe mishap left her without her uniform, and the only spare dress she could find in the laundry belonged to one of Dante's guests. Deep crimson silk that hugged every curve like it had been tailored for her. The head maid frowned. "Fine. Just stay in the corner. Don't draw attention." But attention was inevitable. As soon as Elena stepped into the ballroom, conversations paused. Heads turned. Even the music seemed to hesitate. And then, him. Dante Moretti stood near the grand staircase, surrounded by powerful men and women. He was speaking, calm as always, until his gaze found her. Everything stopped. The ice in his eyes melted into something darker. Something dangerous. Across the room, a rival associate leaned toward Elena, smirking. "Didn't know the Don hired angels." She tried to step back, but the man caught her wrist. That was when Dante moved. One moment he was across the room. The next he was there, his hand on her arm, his voice cold enough to cut steel. "She's staff," Dante said evenly. "And she's not for conversation." The man laughed nervously. "Relax, Moretti, You were just leaving." The entire room watched as Dante's control cracked for a second. The tightness in his jaw, the fire in his stare. Jealousy, raw and unfiltered, flashed across his face before he turned away sharply. Elena's heart thundered. No man had ever defended her like that, especially not him. But later that night, when she passed him in the empty hallway, his voice stopped her again. "That dress," he said quietly, not turning around. "Don't wear it again." Her breath caught. "Why?" He glanced over his shoulder, eyes heavy with something he didn't want to name. "Because I don't like sharing what distracts me." She froze, stunned, and he walked away, leaving her trembling in the dark. Days passed, but Dante couldn't erase the image of her. The way the red silk clung to her skin, the fear in her eyes when another man touched her. He told himself it was irritation. A distraction. Nothing more. He lied. Elena, meanwhile, tried to stay invisible again. But the Don's sudden attention had made her a target. The other staff whispered. Some warned her to quit while she still could. She didn't. That evening, Dante called for her personally, an order that spread through the mansion like wildfire. When she entered his study, the air was heavy, scented with leather and danger. He didn't look up right away. "Close the door." She obeyed, heart pounding. "I heard you've been avoiding the main halls," he said. "I thought it was best, sir." "Best for whom? You, or me?" His question stunned her. When she didn't answer, he stood and came closer, every step measured, predatory. "You think I don't notice what happens in my house?" Her breath hitched. "You're the Don. You notice everything." Something flickered in his gaze. Approval, maybe even amusement. "Then tell me," he said softly, "why did it bother me to see another man touch you?" Elena's pulse stuttered. "It shouldn't have." "You're right. It shouldn't." He was inches away now, his voice dropping to a whisper. "But it did." The confession hung between them, too heavy, too dangerous. "You're breaking your own rule," she said quietly. "And you're making it too easy to forget why I made it." For a moment, the air pulsed with something electric, forbidden and magnetic. Then Dante stepped back, his jaw tight. "Leave." Elena hesitated, searching his eyes for the man behind the mask, but he'd already shut her out. When she finally walked away, Dante pressed his palms against the desk, veins tight beneath his skin. He'd built his empire on control, on never letting anyone matter. But tonight, because of one fearless maid with fire in her eyes, the cracks had begun to show. Rain poured outside the Moretti mansion, lightning slicing through the dark sky like punishment from above. Inside his office, Dante sat in silence, whiskey in hand, Elena's name burning behind every thought he tried to bury. He'd broken his own rule, never look twice. And once you break one rule in the Mafia, everything else begins to crumble. "You're distracted," said Matteo, his most trusted lieutenant, standing by the door. "And that's not like you, boss." Dante didn't look up. "You seeing ghosts too now?" Matteo exhaled sharply. "No, I'm seeing you lose focus, over a maid." The glass in Dante's hand tightened. "Watch your words." "I'm loyal to you, Dante. That's why I'm saying this. The men are talking. They think she's your weakness." A dangerous silence fell. Then, slowly, Dante stood, his eyes cold as winter. "She's nothing. Just a girl who doesn't know her place." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it. Because that same girl was outside in the garden, drenched from the rain, trying to fix a fallen statue before anyone noticed. He saw her through the window, her soaked dress clinging to her skin, her hands trembling from the cold, and his control cracked again. Before he could stop himself, he was outside, coat over his shoulders, striding into the storm. "What the hell are you doing?" he snapped. Elena looked up, startled. "It fell. I didn't want anyone to think I was careless." "You'll get sick," he muttered, pulling off his jacket and wrapping it around her. She froze, staring up at him, the Don, protector and monster in one breath. "Why do you care?" she whispered. His jaw clenched. "I don't." But his hand lingered on her shoulder a second too long. Back inside, Matteo watched them from the shadows, his expression grim. "You're losing it, boss," he murmured to himself. "And in this world, love gets you killed." Dante didn't hear him. He only heard the echo of Elena's voice, and the sound of his rules turning to ash. The mansion had gone quiet after midnight, but Dante couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, Elena, standing in the rain, defying him with trembling lips and fearless eyes. He'd given her orders, rules, warnings. She'd broken all of them just by existing. And now he couldn't stop himself. He found her in the library, alone, arranging books she'd already cleaned twice. Her hair was tied up, her dress simple, but to him she looked dangerous. "You should be asleep," he said. She turned, startled. "Couldn't. The storm's too loud." Dante stepped closer, shadows dancing across his face. "The storm isn't the only thing keeping you up." Elena's breath caught. "And what would you know about that?" He smirked, but there was no humor in it. "Only hunger. Enough to know you look at me like you want to run and stay at the same time." "Maybe because I don't know which one will destroy me faster," she whispered. That did it. The thin thread of his control snapped. In one swift motion, Dante closed the distance, his hand cupping her jaw, forcing her to meet his gaze. "You don't get to play with fire, cara mia, unless you're ready to burn." And then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was raw, furious, a collision of everything he'd tried to deny. She gasped against his lips, the taste of danger and desire mixing in the air. For a second, the world disappeared. No mafia. No rules. Just two broken souls craving the one thing they couldn't have. Then he pulled back, breathing hard, eyes dark. "This never happened." Elena stared at him, her voice shaking. "You can lie to everyone else, Dante, but not to yourself." He froze, because she was right. And as he walked out of the library, the taste of her still on his tongue, Dante Moretti knew the truth he'd feared most. He wasn't in control anymore. The mansion was silent again, but Elena couldn't shake the feeling she was being watched. Dante's shadow lingered everywhere, in the corridors, in the corners of her mind, in every glance she stole. Curiosity, that dangerous spark, led her to Dante's private office. She had no business there, but the room called to her like it held secrets meant only for her eyes. Drawers, papers, and files were scattered like a storm had passed. Then she saw it, a photograph tucked under a ledger. Her breath caught. It was a woman. Beautiful. Graceful. With the same green eyes as Elena. The resemblance was uncanny. And Dante's name was written in the corner. Elena's pulse quickened. Who was she? A sister? A lost love? Before she could think, the door clicked behind her. "Dante. You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low, dangerous. Elena turned, holding the photograph. "Who is she?" His eyes darkened, and for a moment the mask fell. Pain flashed across his face, buried beneath decades of control. "No one who matters anymore," he said, voice tight. "Forget you ever saw that." Elena stepped closer, daring. "She looks like me." Dante froze, his breath catching. She was supposed to be everything I lost. And somehow, seeing you, it's like fate is mocking me." She frowned. "Fate? Or jealousy?" He wanted to deny it. Wanted to hide behind rules and fear. But the truth slipped out anyway. I've never been this close to losing control before. You remind me of her, and I can't decide whether to blame you or thank you." The confession hung between them, heavier than any threat or order. Elena realized then, Dante wasn't just dangerous. He was broken, haunted by a past that made his obsession with her inevitable. And in that moment she understood why he couldn't stay away. Because some wounds didn't heal, they only found a mirror in the wrong person. The city was quiet that night, but the streets whispered danger. Someone was watching Elena. Someone who knew how to hurt Dante where it would hurt the most. It started with small things. A note slipped under the mansion door, a shadow lingering outside her window. Then came the call. "Tell the Don he's going to regret ignoring me," a cold, male voice warned before the line went dead. Dante's hands clenched around the phone. Protective rage coursed through him, dark and unrelenting. He stormed into Elena's room before she could sleep, every inch of him radiating danger. "Pack your things," he ordered. "You're coming with me." She stared at him, fear and frustration mixing. "I'm not a child." "Not anymore," he said, voice low, sharp. "But tonight you are under my protection, my rules. My world doesn't forgive mistakes. And anyone who touches you." He didn't finish the threat because she already understood. Elena's heart raced as he led her through secret passages of the mansion, the night pressing down around them. Guards moved like shadows, loyal and silent. They were safe for now. But the danger wasn't outside. It was closer. Someone in Dante's circle had betrayed him. Someone had dared to think she was vulnerable. "I hate this," Elena admitted quietly, clutching his arm. "Being treated like a possession." Dante's jaw tightened. "You're not a possession. You're the only thing I can't afford to lose." Her breath caught at the words, both a warning and a confession. The next morning, Dante called a meeting with his closest men. His eyes burned with fury. "Whoever thinks they can touch her," he growled, "will regret it. I don't care what it takes. She is under my protection. No exceptions." And as he watched Elena, safe but trembling at his side, he realized that jealousy had become a weapon. One he couldn't put down. Because in the Mafia world, power meant control. And Elena had just become his weakness. The mansion was quiet when Dante went to bed, but the city outside was a powder keg. A rival family had learned Elena was the Don's obsession. And obsession in Dante's world was a target. The flames started silently, creeping through the east wing. Smoke curled under the doors, thick and suffocating. Elena woke to the smell of burning wood. Panic surged. She ran down the corridor, coughing, disoriented, trapped. "Elena." Dante's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. He appeared at the staircase, his coat flapping around him, eyes wild. "Stay close to me," he ordered, grabbing her hand. "Hold on." Smoke stung their eyes as they navigated the fire. The roar of flames grew louder, heat licking at their skin. But Dante moved with precision, guiding her toward safety, every step calculated, yet desperate. Then came the gunshot. A rival had followed, aiming for Elena. Time slowed. Dante reacted with lightning speed, taking the bullet meant for her. Pain exploded in his side, but he didn't falter. He pulled her into his arms, carrying her through the chaos. Outside, the fire crews arrived, sirens wailing. Elena pressed herself to him, shaking, tears mixing with soot and sweat. "You could have died," she whispered. "Not you," he growled, his voice raw with pain and fury. "Not ever." For the first time, Elena saw the man behind the empire, the Don stripped of arrogance and fear. Vulnerable. Human. She cupped his face, ignoring the blood and dirt. "I can't lose you," she murmured. He closed his eyes, the firelight reflecting in them. "Then don't," he said, his lips brushing her temple. And in that instant the world outside could burn. Threats, rivals, rules, none of it mattered. All that mattered was her. The Don who had once said she was nothing now realized she was everything. The mansion was quiet again, but the echoes of the fire still lingered, ash and smoke drifting like ghosts through the halls. Dante sat in his office, bandaged and brooding, Elena at his side. The night's chaos had changed something between them, shifted the balance of power, of desire, of fear. He had built his empire on rules. No attachments. No distractions. No weakness. She had broken every one of them. "You could leave," he said, voice low, almost tender. "Walk away. And I won't stop you." Elena shook her head. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." A dangerous smile curved his lips. "You're mine," he admitted, a statement, a warning, and a confession all in one. "And if anyone tries to take you, I'll destroy them. Even if it costs me everything." She studied him, seeing the man beneath the legend, the monster who had learned to love. "Then I'm yours," she whispered. "All of me." The words hit him harder than any rival could. His hands trembled, not with weakness but with the power of what he felt. For the first time, Dante Moretti didn't care about rules, codes, reputation. He only cared about her. "I've never broken my rules for anyone," he said, cupping her face. "But you make me want to rewrite everything I thought I knew about control." Elena's lips met his, soft at first, then fierce. A promise, a surrender, a pact sealed in fire and obsession. Outside, the city whispered of power and danger, but inside, the Don and his woman created their own world. One where jealousy, obsession, and desire no longer destroyed them. Where it bound them. Dante pulled back, eyes glinting with a rare vulnerability. "You're everything I've been waiting for. And now you're mine. Forever." Elena smiled, fearless and defiant. "Then let the world burn," she said. And together they stood, unshaken, unstoppable and unbreakable.